Land Cruiser? Is it just a car, a style, or an entire era? 1950, Korea is at war, and the U.S. Army needs a four-wheel drive vehicle. Fast. They hand Toyota a set of Willys Jeep specs and an order for 100 units. No time to design from scratch, no time to test properly, just build it. In January 1951, Toyota's engineers deliver a prototype. They call it, simply, the Toyota Jeep. Nobody expects it to matter much beyond the contract. 6 months later, one test driver is about to prove them all wrong. His name is Ichiro Taira. His task: drive this untested prototype up Mount Fuji, a 12,388-foot volcano that no motor vehicle has ever climbed. He doesn't reach the summit. He doesn't need to. He makes it to the 6th checkpoint out of 10, further than anything on wheels has ever gone. Japan's national police is watching. They place an order for 289 units on the spot. The first real proof that this rushed, no-name prototype might be worth something more than a wartime contract. A wartime contract just became a legend in the making, but surviving Fuji was one thing, surviving its own name was another. There's a problem. Willys, the actual maker of the actual Jeep, isn't thrilled that Toyota is calling their vehicle a Jeep, too. So in 1954, Toyota's technical director, Hanji Umehara, makes a decision. If they can't be the Jeep, they'll be something else entirely. Something built to rival Land Rover, the other off-road name on everyone's lips. He picks a new name: Land Cruiser. It's not just a rebrand, it's a declaration. This isn't a copy of anything, and it isn't anyone's Jeep. This is its own machine now, with its own name to defend. And a machine with a name like that doesn't stay in Japan for long. 1958, Toyota tries to crack the biggest car market on Earth, the United States. Their weapon of choice: the Toyopet Crown, a car built for narrow Japanese roads, thrown onto American highways at American speeds. It falls apart, overheats, underpowers. Toyota's first real shot at America is, by most accounts, a disaster. But that same year, on the other side of the Pacific, something very different is happening. An Australian construction boss named Leslie Thies is building part of the Snowy Mountains hydroelectric scheme, one of the most ambitious engineering projects in the country's history. He needs vehicles that can survive terrain that eats regular trucks alive. He imports a dozen Land Cruisers, sight unseen, on a hunch. They don't just survive, they outperform everything else on the site. Thies is so impressed, he doesn't just buy more. He flies to Japan and talks Toyota into making him their official Australian distributor. By 1961, that handshake becomes a company. That company becomes the foundation of Toyota's entire presence in Australia, one of its biggest markets outside Japan, to this day. While the Crown flops on American freeways, the Land Cruiser is quietly proving something bigger. This badge doesn't need to impress a showroom. It just needs to not quit. One rancher, one outpost, one impossible road at a time. That reputation, built in the dirt, far from any dealership, is about to be tested somewhere no marketing department would ever choose. For decades, one name owned the world's harshest roads before Toyota ever showed up: Land Rover. British-built, war-tested, first to the deserts of Africa and the Middle East. For a while, Land Rover was practically the generic term for off-road vehicle. The way Kleenex means tissue. Then, the electrics started failing. The rust set in. Parts got harder to find the further you got from a dealership. And in the middle of the Sahara, you're about as far as it gets. The Land Cruiser didn't need to be exciting. It needed to be simple enough that anyone with a wrench and a spare part could fix it on the side of the road. And it was. Slowly, then, all at once, the balance tipped. By the 1990s, there's a saying mechanics in Africa still repeat: Land Rover discovered Africa. Toyota keeps Africa running. That's not a slogan, that's a market correction, one broken down Land Rover at a time. 1987, northern Chad, Libya, has rolled in 8,000 troops, 300 Soviet-built tanks, and a full air force to back them up. Chad has 400 pickup trucks. Most of them are Toyotas, many are Land Cruisers, kitted out with machine guns bolted to the bed. What soldiers call a technical. By any conventional military logic, this is not a fair fight. Tanks beat trucks. Every strategist would tell you that. Nobody told the trucks. Chadian forces use their speed and the empty desert itself, striking fast, vanishing before Libyan armor can respond. When the dust settles, Libya has lost roughly a tenth of its entire army and over $1 billion in equipment. Chad wins. The world's press needs a name for what just happened. They settle on one, the Toyota War. A car company just became a footnote in military history, not because it built a weapon, but because it built something that simply refused to break down in the one place breaking down gets you killed. Here's the thing about being truly unbreakable. Eventually, everyone who does the hardest work on Earth ends up driving one. Drive into a UN compound in South Sudan, and you'll see white Land Cruisers lined up. Drive into a Red Cross depot, or a World Food Program convoy. Same truck. Toyota even builds a special humanitarian spec version, sold only to aid agencies, kitted out as mobile clinics and water carriers. No satellite phone, no generator, no makeshift clinic in the middle of nowhere works without something to get it there first. For 70 years, that something has, more often than not, worn this badge. It's the highest compliment a machine can get. When the job is, reach the place nothing else can reach. This is the one people reach for. 4 generations, one obsession, never stop being the toughest thing on the road. 1955, the original, canvas top, straight 6 engine, no frills, no apologies. 1998, the 100 series, the first Land Cruiser with a V8, independent front suspension, still unbreakable, now more livable. 2007, the 200 series, a full-size flagship built for the most extreme terrain on the planet. Suspension that thinks for itself. 2023, the 250 series. Smaller, lighter, hybrid power. The design goes back to its roots, because some things you don't fix. Ask a UN peacekeeper. Ask a rancher in the outback. Ask a mechanic in Nairobi, or an aid worker in a place most maps barely label. Ask anyone who's ever needed a vehicle that simply will not quit, in a place where quitting isn't an option. They'll all tell you the same badge, not the fastest, not the prettiest, not even, most years, the most advanced, just the one that's still running when everything else has stopped. 70 years, 4 continents, 1 war named after it. One name that means exactly one thing: it will get you there. Every emblem has a story. This one just happens to be etched in dust.